welcome to Reconfidence channel, where we discuss everything confidence. My name is Paps Onyugi, your partner in creating the life we desire and deserve. And today we are looking at a tree and looking at how can we survive different seasons of life, and especially the winter. And so today we focus mostly on the winter, and the Bible says as long as heaven and earth exist, seasons will always be there. And so it means there will always be those highs and lows of life that we have to handle consistently. And I've had an opportunity to live in Europe and to see a tree in different seasons. And I think they are ugliest during winter. Just the way sometimes my life is ugliest during winter. When people come around me during winter, they may think I have nothing admirable, I don't have potential. You know, I'm at my most broken sometimes, but it's important for us to realize that as long as heaven and earth exist, there will always be seasons. And I also love Isaiah 51, which talks about every season there will be rain, and there will also be snow, and it is there for a purpose. And so all our seasons are also intentional. That is in Isaiah 51 verse 10. And so it's about discovering my seasons and leveraging on them. And as we think about this tree, I want us to think about winter of life, focusing on these three parts of a tree. First of all, there are roots which are in here. We can't see them. You know, we'll probably never see them. But do they influence the tree? Oh yes, because they supply to this whole tree and every part of it. And when you think about the roots of our lives, those are things we cannot do anything about. Are there things you can't change about your life? You can't change about yourself? Yes, there are. And some of those things are like family, things like my height, things like my past, things like my age. Those are my bare minimums. Those are my default settings. And as I look at them, they are my roots. Sometimes they're not visible, but they still control my life. And when our roots are in the winter space, you know, there are things that are unpleasant and things that we don't like about ourselves. They can actually put down the whole tree. And so how do I navigate the winter seasons of my life confidently? It's by embracing them. I really love the serenity prayer, which says, Lord, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Yeah, because there are things I'll never change about myself, about my life. And embracing those things and thanking God for them and realizing that this is part of the package gives me peace about it. Because sometimes I need peace to be able to survive and to wait for the better days. And then here is the trunk of my life. These are things I don't like about my life, but I can change. I can do something about my trunk. You know, and that is why this tree, with time, the trunk will change, the dimensions of the leaves will change. Why? Because trunk are things I don't like about my life, but I can change. I may not like my weight, I can do something about it. I may not like my friends, I can do something about it. I may not like my income, my livelihood, I may not like my attitude, my character, I may not like some attributes of myself, and those things that I can do something about are in the trunk. And it's important for us to realize some of the winters that we may have in our lives are things we can do something about. And I love using the analogy of the learned helplessness, which is a psychological concept where a dog was caged and then it was electrocuted severely. And it will stay there and whine, trying to break out of the cage. And then with time, it started to just lie down helplessly and whine when the electrocution came. And then one day, the person who was doing the experiment opened the cage. Guess what happened to the dog? Yes, you are right. The dog stayed there and it was helpless because it was used to it. And it's possible for us to be in a winter because we are overrating the trunk. It's a trunk problem, but probably we have categorized it in the root problem in a way that we feel helpless about things we can change. And wisdom is being able to discern when the door is open, when the cage is opened, and I just dash out and do something about my limitations. And so sometimes we prolong winters in our lives because we don't want to tackle the trunk problem, which is something we can do something about. And then there is the crown. You know, this is the beauty of our lives. This is where this is the part of our lives where everyone sees. And just looking around, every tree is visible on the trunk. The trunk is what everyone can see about your life. And you know what? Sometimes my successes, my achievements, the amazing things about me are on the trunk. But guess what? Sometimes people don't understand the trunk process and the root process I've gone through to come to the visible part. And one of the ways when we are in winter is to not rate our self-worth based on the crown, because the crown is temporary. And that is why the Bible says there is hope for a tree that is cut. Sometimes we actually have to graft here so that we can change the outcomes of our lives. And that is one of the things I was saying. There are some things we can change here to influence here. And when you think about your crown, sometimes it's my status, it's my appearance, sometimes it is my assets, sometimes it is all those things that people can see about me and they really admire them. Those things can make me become insecure if I don't realize that they don't define who I am. And sometimes during winter, like the tree I was explaining that I saw in Europe, it is the crown that sheds. You know, the trunk still remains, the root remains, but the crown leaves. And during winter, it is important for us to remind ourselves who we are, just like Job, who was stripped of everything, but he never lost who he was. And so even as you're going through the winter of life, remind yourself that my crown is temporary. And so that I don't also build my life around my fears and insecurities trying to protect my crown, because my crown is in God's hands. That's all for today. I hope the lesson was beneficial to just 3 ways and 3 things that we can do to help us survive the winters of life. My name is Paps Wanyugi, your partner in creating the life you desire and deserve. And subscribe to my channel, share this video with other people who need some inspiration during their winter, and be a blessing. Ciao.